Okay, hi everyone. I'm watching the stream and also a video in the future. This is Sean, one of the developers of Anodyne, and it's the anniversary of Anodyne soon, so I'm going to be playing through it in English, not Japanese, because I can't read it. Not going to be a speedrun. It would be cool, I guess, but I can't really nearly even do it as well as people who can actually speedrun this game. Yeah, so if you're in the chat, feel free to ask questions or anything, whatever you want to do. I'll probably pause occasionally to keep spamming Twitter. About to wake up, you use the arrow keys to move around. Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about the arrow keys thing. Is kind of weird because this character is already kind of acknowledging that it's a game or whatever, which is fine. Maybe it would have been nicer if we didn't do that. In any case, it doesn't really affect the gameplay. So this area is thanks, Tom. So it's the intro area if you haven't played. It's very geometric and white, black background. Kind of intending, the area to be like a little bit abstract. And not really tied down to any sort of definite landscape within the game. And so we kind of picked this geometric thing, so it doesn't really tie to anything about the character Young, because it's sort of like you're entering a dream, or if you think of like, a dreamscape mind area as kind of a place where you have these different like landscapes which you have your dreams in, as you're falling asleep, it's kind of like blurry, and that was kind of part of what we were getting at. And so the Nexus area, so Cloaked Man. These tutorials. 1 second, my dad is calling. Sorry. Was that... Yeah, okay, and I hope it wasn't showing my voice talking to my dad. I got Arby's. Yeah, so Sage's dialogue. This is why I want John to do a Let's Play, or at least like a live stream, because he can probably say a lot more about the dialogue and the art than I can. Question. Oh shit. Okay, questions. Let me just talk about. There's so much to talk about. The village elder name only. Okay, so those are like sort of allusions to the windfish and kind of the dreamscape and kind of the Sage not what's the word? He doesn't want to. I don't know. John could put this much better. Sort of, he's trying to coerce, I guess, Young into doing something, or for the story. Sage is sort of intended as part of like Young's subconscious of trying to get him to just sort of worry and not be confident enough to act on things, while contrasting that with kind of attempting to have courage, I guess. Anyways, that's really digressing, and John could do a better job saying these things. So the Nexus area, it's just the hub for the game, everyone knows that, okay. So Miyab asks, I'm sure this has been asked before, but what are the inspirations of Anodyne? Any games that inspired it? The inspirations of Anodyne are are... I want to talk about the tutorial too, so I'm just going to walk in circles here. Just look at the menus. Inspirations, obviously, so Link's Awakening mechanically, of course, because it was so easy to... it's an easy sort of design to use for a first big game, because it's pretty safe. Also, Yume Nikki as as another inspiration for atmosphere, sort of the dream, occasionally dark. It doesn't copy the abstractness or surrealism, I guess, as much as Yume Nikki does, but it was an inspiration. Originally, the game before Anodyne, called Intro, which is the prototype, was supposed to be a lot more, I guess, abstract and scary. Not abstract, I mean, like, not really, doesn't really have a story or anything, but John came along and we decided that it'd be better to have sort of a, story to everything. So those are the main inspirations. Anyways, so this is the street dungeon, the tutorial dungeon, and it's kind of set up to be as easy as possible, just so you kind of learn the basic dungeon mechanics. I think it's fine. I mean, it's showing, there's branching paths, there's a mini-map you can look at if you want. There's locked doors, there's treasure boxes, enemies can hurt you, you can die, there's checkpoints. You can open locks, and you get the weapon. I think if I had to change anything about this, I like the atmosphere and the music just fine. I think it's sort of, it's a road, kind of like you're going on an adventure or whatever, but you're still not really sure, you're worried about things. And so, fuck. So you're on this, I think I would have thought of a different way to give the broom to the character. It's kind of just random, it's just like sitting in a box. I don't really like that. And again, I think I should have had these instructions be external to the narrative of the game, so kind of having an interface thing pop up, because I think it's better than putting it into the narrative. Oh, that's just me. So let's go through this screen. So this is the first sort of thing that I didn't really have an explicit reason for doing, the zombie. A lot of people have various interpretations of it. I think I didn't really have anything intentional in mind, because I made it during intro when I was just doing atmosphere and stuff. And so I think it ends up working well. A lot of what I like to do, or what I enjoy when people analyze the game, is seeing what worked and what people got meaning from the game. And when you look at that, you can kind of use that in future games, and that's appealing. And so the use of that, is kind of the hinting at kind of the surreal nature of things, sort of how, maybe thoughts can... Your broom is full of dust attacking into place, and I think that's really stupid too. Just kind of hinting at, how a lot in the game is sort of symbolic, I suppose. And this is just a terrible way to teach the dust thing. I think it really should have just... I don't know. I'm not happy with it. Before we go in the magic portal to the next area, Myob, or Myob, Boing, backwards, asks, for Steam Dev Days, a lot of developers received the first prototype of the Steam controller. Did you guys receive one? Let me tweet out again. Sean doing live LP of Anodyne for a few moments of time. Hi, John. I'm gonna post that again. John should do this too. I think, I know we're all busy, so I don't want to ask John to do too many things, because we should work on the game Like, I should be working on Even the Ocean right now, doing level design or something. But I think he could speak a lot more to sort of art and stuff he had to do on his side. So, you know, it'd be nice if we could all write postmortems, but I mean, you know, there's so much to do. Yeah, Elias, he needs some. Well, he said that he would give away art at 625 followers, so I guess people are gonna get mad if he doesn't. But I mean, I don't know, whatever. He can do whatever he wants. I don't care. So I'm gonna answer Miab's question again. Yeah. So the stream is actually an LP as well. I'm streaming to file. Yeah. Right. Okay. The question: did we get controllers? No, we didn't. I was considering going to Steam Dev Days, but it seemed too expensive because I had to, like, you know, pay for the hotel or whatever. I don't know. Which is really funny because, you know, you get free shit or whatever. But to be honest, like, I don't really think we're gonna be like those sort of rich Linux devs who kind of, like, you know, get on the steamboat, because I don't know, it's just so much work, right? So we didn't get anything, but I mean, I just want to make games, you know, not spend time, you know, porting to Linux or what. I mean, I might have to if Windows 8 becomes such a giant disaster and takes up more of the market share. But, you know, it's just, I don't know. You know, like, I guess I'm a programmer, but I'm really not interested in porting to all these things. It's so much work, and computers are so cheap. You know, you can buy a Windows computer that'll run Even the Ocean or Anodyne, you know, for like a couple $100, you know, instead of buying a giant gaming rig, whatever. The point is that I'm fucking lazy, and it's just a lot of work, and I'd rather, you know, make more games before I die rather than, I don't know, it's just a pain in the... Really, Windows 9, is that a joke? I really hope it's a joke that it was announced. Okay, so this area here is, it's like a temple grounds for the next thing, and there's so much to talk about. Here's Mitra. Sorry about that, it's going way too fast. I've never seen you before. Are you a fellow traveler? Why am I speaking? What's really funny about Mitra is that everyone always assumes that Mitra is a girl, and everyone assumes that Young is a boy, and that Sage is a man, and that Briar... No one actually really talks about Briar's gender. Just because he has a ponytail. You know, which is funny, and it's kind of easy to do, and, you know, I guess it speaks a lot to, it's sort of how we kind of assume thinking about characters in games. And so this is just Mitra, you know, kind of establishing Mitra's presence as kind of a friend character. Yeah, no, it's not surprising at all. I mean, I do it all the time. It's just, it's you know, everyone, you're conditioned so much. I don't know, when I see Mitra, I think of John, because John has long hair. Yeah, so I'm glad Steam's doing so much stuff with all the Linux stuff and whatever. You know, it's great, but I don't know, it's gonna be hard to get a lot of, you know, the really smaller devs onto the Linux stuff, because, you know, most people aren't primarily programmers, and getting stuff to work on Linux is a nightmare unless, you know, you've done that stuff before. So, okay, talking about the areas. Okay, 23 Fire Menace, your question. I'll definitely answer that in a bit. Maybe John can even answer as well. So yeah, this is supposed to just be like a light little, sort of like nature-y non-dungeon area that kind of starts, I think, becoming more, I guess, realize, you know, because the progression of the previous areas is kind of realizing a dream. So going from abstract to more like of a concrete dream you remember. So maybe you remember walking around your school and having a dream. So this is sort of like, you know, this area is still sort of cliche in that it's kind of like dungeon-like and still fitting to the atmosphere of previous areas. But it's all meant to be sort of a gradation towards areas that would be within a dream. Okay, so question after the sage thing. Soon your skills will be put to the test, young. In order to make it through this temple alive, strength and intellect, and you found a weapon. Okay. So we actually did all the dialogue for this game in about 3 or 4 months. Which is actually, we started the dialogue in September. I remember eating hot dogs and lemonade from Portillo's while John was giving me the dialogue for Sage right here. And I also remember having to put in that, like, attacky thing and being kind of, like, frustrated because of, I hate programming stuff in general. I don't know. Programming can be really annoying, but I don't mind it because it's fine. And the game would, like, freeze and shit, and... Line break. Yeah. Okay, is this game supposed to remind me of Link to the Past? It's not supposed to, but it makes sense that it would. Because it's sort of Zelda in nature. I've seen a room in Legend. It was on the map of a janitor's closet, and that is why John writes dialogue. I want to get better. I want to learn how to write better. I guess the only way to write better is to read more, and to, oh my god, yes. Okay, that happens. The only way to get better. Okay, wait. I'm not talking about the fucking game. I need to talk about the game. Yeah. So a lot of times in testing, I would, get here without the broom, and the game would just freeze, and I'd just be like, "Fuck! I didn't do anything to fix this." And so, okay, this is Edward. And sort of he just touches on themes about paranoia, kind of related to the atmosphere of the area, but as well as the sort of the themes behind a few of the dungeons, which is sort of the sense of, paranoia, being alone, or being, worried about, or that kind of the feeling there is when you are alone and you're kind of like, oh, did everybody else die or something? And what's been useful for even the ocean, which I think John does well, is kind of focusing. So you kind of have this like main idea or like thematic idea that you want to talk about with a game and its mechanics, but it really helps for each area if you kind of pick themes to talk about, and just keep those in mind when you're doing things. Hey, Aitan. Keeping those in mind when you're creating things, creating the music, the art, maybe even the mechanics as well. And so when you have that sort of very strong base, everything else works out pretty well, in theory. Anodyne is on Android, actually. I'll post you the link. Okay, I'm probably missing questions. Yeah, so our team is only 2. Someone asked you, what's the team size? And, it's just, John already said in the chat, but it's just John and I for both games. We do everything. Why did you make your username the full name? I don't know, man. Oh, Aiton, I am moving. I moved out of Hyde Park. I sublet our place. Okay, fuck, this is gonna be on the LP, so I can't talk about these things. Right, okay, so this is the first dungeon. So the map name of this place is actually called Bedroom, and the reason that is because when I started the game, I thought I was going to have the first dungeon be kind of waking up in a dream or nightmare version of, the character's bedroom, and so the first dungeon was called Bedroom. You kind of walk around, and then at the end of it, there's this kind of like a hole in the ground, and it falls into some other area. Yeah, so that's why. But yeah, the themes, or the visual themes, are just kind of touching about being seen or seeing things. Yeah, the mobile ports were just an experience for me. As you can tell by iOS reviews, everybody wants me to die because of how bad they are, but Android people seem to be okay with it. Yeah. Kiri. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Normal way, Japanese way. Yeah, she asked about Yeah, that's true. That'll make sense. Okay, we should do that. Go. Impacted the game in such an unintended. Okay. This LP makes. Yeah, it's really hard to do an LP and a stream. Can you expand on the Go thing, and how you thought you impacted it, so I can answer that later. Right. So dungeon design. Right. So this dungeon had to teaching. Is teaching good? Teaching works well for something with such a strict design like Zelda. I don't really even like Zelda games, I guess. It's a weird saying. Just because it's hard to be creative with the design and stuff. Creative in that, there's more than one way to do things. Like, the only way to do this is to get the abstract key, which is destroying 3 enemies. So, there's things in this dungeon being taught. You kill multiple enemies to open doors. You can use dust to move through things. Blah, blah, blah. Right, so I think I'm going to get the card over here first and open up one of the things. So again here, the abstract key is killing the 4 enemies. The keys are always killing enemies or stepping on switches, or which is really lame. I think a lot about the dungeon design in this game is just really, really lame, and it's all my fault. These don't even. Who cares about these fucking cracked holes in the ground? They're only used in a meaningful way once in a hotel, I think. And the cards, the fucking cards. I like the cards, but I don't like the cards. I like how they're sort of the cards are. Oh hey Danielle. If you're in the chat, Danielle, she was one of the first reviews that was written about Anodyne. It was a very nice review, and from Polygon, so it was really appreciated. And she did a little talk a while ago about Anodyne, and sort of okay, I guess this is a good moment to sort of digress. So I was talking with one of my friends, and also it's been noted by critics that there's sort of a lot of themes of, I guess, self-acknowledgement of the game within the game. Sort of things kind of associated with postmodernism in a way, which is not unique to games, because that's sort of a mode of thought that everybody kind of has just living nowadays. But how this game kind of it does stuff that reflects on itself in a way. And a lot of that actually isn't intentional. I wasn't really familiar with the term until kind of reading more, educating myself, I guess. But I think a lot of how it arose was sort of how we approach conveying themes about the character through, I guess, musical ambience, visual ambience, and kind of themes of the game. I'm not really explaining myself well here, but basically, I think a lot of the sort of the postmodern feeling you get, with the game kind of trying to be more than just the fantasy world. It comes from how we were intending all of the stuff in the game to kind of be interpreted in a way that is not just the fantasy, but it's supposed to be looked at as sort of, this is some representation of Young exploring Young's mind. And so you kind of get these themes, and yeah, this is kind of the thing I would have to write about. It's hard for me to talk about because I'm really bad at talking about things on my feet. But especially stuff like the post-game, with the swap, and how that's kind of, it's kind of subverting the entire way you were interacting with the world. And that was primarily intended actually as sort of just kind of a metaphor. So a lot of this game is kind of a young exploring his mind and trying to figure things out. And so the swap is kind of, like trying to deconstruct all these areas and explore them and try to, find answers or whatever. And, the ending, of course, is, that last secret room, which is, kind of Young realizing to Young's self that, you can only find so many answers thinking, but you have to actually do action in real life to change things. But they can also be seen as sort of postmodern and, deconstructing kind of our normal expectations of what a Zelda game does. Deconstructing what a Zelda game does. Because you see, and just changing the way that you see the game areas. So, after playing a game for 6 hours, 8 hours, maybe 16 hours, you kind of, get in your head, oh, okay, all these things are solid, I can't move anything around, there's puzzles. But, with that swap, you're like, oh, okay, well, there's another way of exploring the world, which is, moving stuff around that I didn't see. And, I don't know, I think that those sort of subversions are interesting, and I like doing them in my games when I can. I think it's just, it's, you can do subversions in very small scales, but they can be powerful in that way, but they can also be powerful when you do a subversion on a very large scale. So when you condition someone to play a game for such a long time, and then you kind of have this way of exploring it that wasn't there before, but that is still natural to the game in a sense. So maybe we'll do that later, and I'm not sure. So my time is at about 27 minutes. That's fine. Oh shit! Okay, almost quit the game. So we just finished the dungeon, and another thing it shows is kind of the branching paths. You can go multiple ways through a dungeon. It's not going to be linear. Before we enter the boss room, I'm going to tweet again. So let me just do that. So in here again. Still doing a LP stream for Anodyne game anniversary, sort of. Twitch the TV soon too. Okay. What is Twitter? Aton, you should be on Twitter, because then I'll talk to you more, and I can help you procrastinate if you're bored or something. Also, Aton, are you still doing conga stuff or whatever? It would be interesting to do, like, conga electronic music. That would be kind of fun. Okay, first boss. Right. So, First step you have taken in the land, and let me tell you, Young, not everyone here is as honest as me. Be careful who you trust. Okay, you can actually hear it before. I hope I don't die. That would be really embarrassing. Oh, so you did. Okay. Well, so you actually did that. That's the one who was watching you, right? That when we were eating at Nana's, we were like, oh, you should talk to her. Was that her, or was it another one? Anyways, that's cool. But you should definitely buy a set of congas, because I don't know, I think conga electronic music would be cool to do. Right, you don't need to say these things in the chat. You can tell me later, of course. Yeah, anyway, so that first boss, and I guess I need to talk about the health cicadas as well. So that first boss was designed, bye. Yep. So the first boss was designed before Anodyne, and you can play it, fight it actually, if you look at one of the older versions somewhere. What about it? Oh yeah, but it was changed to sort of thematically fit thematically fit the game in terms of the seeing thing, the seeing one, kind of watching over things, thematics, themes of who has control in this world and whatever, or control in the world of Anodyne. The health cicada. I don't remember why we picked a cicada. It's kind of weird, I guess. Also, that's sort of the thing, breaking the wall of the game. Trivia that Malo or Kiri just posted. Just said is the first boss right here had different music in the earlier version, and it was much more upbeat and kind of rough and too upbeat for the game. I don't use a lot of drums in this game. I do in the circus and the hotel area. Did I miss any questions? I probably missed questions. Yeah, for some reason, so Go is, I don't know why I picked Go. I wanted something to be a Go board or whatever. A lot of these ideas were kind of changed to sort of fit better. At this point, you're still weak. If you want to save the brother, face your fears. I don't do your request. It's quite in cards. So you can tell we kind of got lazy somewhere with the development of the game because we stopped making these statues and stopped putting stage appearances. I guess there's just a lot of stuff to do. It doesn't really matter though. Yeah, so for Even the Ocean, the music... I'm using percussion more in the music, but it's not really... I'm really bored of the dialogue because I've seen it so many fucking times. I like the dialogue though. Although, so this is the issue. We had to figure out, like, if people get stuck or whatever. I feel like now it's fine to just let people get lost, but that's why I put this dialogue in, I guess. Yeah, the big statue. I'll talk about it in a second. And the checkpoint and the C and the key thing kind of just worked out really nicely. Okay, so if you're watching the LP here, I'm going to stop. But if you're on the stream, I'm just going to start it in a second because it's at 30 minutes and I want to make smaller files. Of course I'm entered. Okay, so we're going to stop here. And this... Okay.